Irreverent, entertaining, cool. You're listening to LA Talk Radio.
You're listening to Female Filmmakers Fuse with Alexa Polar, only on LA Talk Radio.
Thank you for joining us. This is Female Filmmakers Fuse. I'm Alexa Polar today, with my co-host, Robin Pabello.
Happy Sunday.
Almost left you out, Robin. Sorry about
That's
that.
okay. I'm sidekick.
Number to call in is 818-602-4929. That's 818-602-4929. And where can people catch us if they don't catch this live, Robin?
You guys can go to iTunes or Google Play.
And also, we have our own Instagram and Facebook. It's Female Filmmakers Fuse Podcast. So go ahead, give us a like, follow, do all that good stuff, make us feel important and special. Today we have awesome two ladies here sitting in front of us. Brooke Purdy.
Mm-hmm. That's
really
me.
pretty name.
Oh, Purdy.
Purdy. And then we have Colette Freedman.
Yes.
Okay, and you guys both did Quality Problems.
We did.
Robin, Quality Problems?
Yes, so the logline for Quality Problems is Bailey and Drew are a 40-something couple, much like other couples. They have 2 kids, 2 jobs, 1 dad with Alzheimer's, and 1 boob with cancer. I did say 1 boob because not both of them can get them sometimes. So yes, 1 boob with cancer. And then toss in planning an 8-year-old's birthday party, and the only thing you can do is laugh.
It's really cool. I saw the trailer. Looked really great. You can, by the way, you can get this on iTunes, correct?
iTunes, Amazon, pretty much almost any platform out there. It's available.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. It looks really, really good. And you guys went through the whole film festival, the circuit, correct?
We did. We spent about a year on the festival circuit, and it was very well received. We had a bunch of Best of the Festival awards.
That's awesome.
Brooke got Best Actress at one festival. We got Best Ensemble at another. We got Best Film at a couple. So we really loved how generous the film circuit experience was.
It looked really well done. And this was done independently, correct?
So independent. Like, it should be asterisk independent. We crowdfunded for the entire thing. Okay. We had no help whatsoever. We all come from humble roots. There was no like Uncle Joe, you know.
Don't talk about my uncle like that.
Sorry. We didn't have an Uncle Joe. It was completely crowdfunded, and we did a lot of homework before we went in with our crowdfunding, and we prepped for it, and we had, timed start dates and timed, second push and timed. So it turned out to be one of the fastest.
We have a caller.
No.
Awesome. Hey.
Hello, caller. You're on the air. Can I get your name and where you're calling from?
That sounds like my husband butt dialed us.
Is that what it was? We lost them.
That's okay.
That's
Call
okay.
back if you can.
Yeah. So it was a super fast and super successful crowdfunding campaign on Seed and Spark, which we highly recommend to any filmmaker out there because it's just for filmmakers.
Okay.
And they're very inclusive, and they're a wonderful, wonderful organization. Emily Best, we love you. So it was completely crowdfunded. We crowdfunded for, the first half, and we shot. It was my husband and I and our kids in it.
Okay.
My husband and I co-directed. Everything was bad about this on paper. It was first-time directors, husband and wife, dealing with kids, dealing with animals, like no money, and everybody was like, sure. So we did the first half and shot mostly in our house with the kids. Mm-hmm. And then the kids went back to school. And then we did the wider stuff. We broke for a while, did more crowdfunding, and then did the stuff with the larger cast, the locations, the more ambitious stuff. We waited till the kids were in school. So
And now you guys are all SAG. No, I'm kidding.
I know. My husband is, and I could be, but I don't want to pay my dues. So we aren't. I'm not. He is, and he's fantastic. And the kids are skyrocketing. More on that later. But so it was a very much, literally, a family affair. And it was a huge gamble. And we didn't know if our kids could act. And I just wrote the script, knowing their voices and stuff like that, and giving them actual characters. It was not reality TV at all. And they slayed it. They were amazing. Was that your question? You guys got to rein me in.
No, you're good.
I babble.
Good. This is
babble.
great to know. That this is why we did this. This podcast is so that others can learn from it as well. And that's amazing because we all start differently. We all do things differently, and we never think of trying something out different. So that I'm like, I'll listen to this and be like, family. I have it's 5 brothers and no sisters. I can do something with them. They can't act, but
well, you don't know because we haven't tested that theory.
That's true. Or you could give them very limited things. That was one of the gifts of being a writer is I was able to write with everything I knew that we could get, every location. I was like, we know someone with a donut shop. We're going to make a donut shop scene, and we know, we have these people, and then. After years of being in this town, we have worked with, my husband and I have done plays and stuff like that. And we've collected so many favorites, so many amazing actors that we have been dying to work with. So, I got to write parts for them and I got to, ask them to come in and they were amazing. It was great. So it was one of the gifts of writing, write for your, for what you have, write for your assets. Yeah.
Now, with the storyline, is that based on
facts? So it is. We're calling it a fictionalized account of actual events. So. Back in 2008, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, first-time mammogram, no history. I was 40 years old. It was bonkers. Should not have happened, and did. And at the time, my husband and I had a 3.5-year-old and an 18-month-old, and. We were it's like record scratch on your life. Everything, nothing means the same. You're driving, you're at a stoplight. I'm at a stoplight with cancer.
Right.
I just said, let's film it. Let's film everything. Let's film the doctor's appointments. Let's film, this. Let's film that. Because I needed to be anything but a victim. I needed to be anything else.
Right.
And we did. Spoiler, I survived. It all went well. It was very early stage cancer, but it was very aggressive. Yeah. So it was. You go through whatever you go through, and then cut to many, many years later, and I am fine and well checked up, and good to go. New boobs from Blue Cross. Thank you very much, because after breastfeeding 2 kids, it was time. Talking about my boobs on the radio. That's right.
We can say whatever we want on this channel.
So I was rocking a 34B long. Yep, thanks Blue Cross. Anyway. So cut to all these many years later, and scripts, floating around, and thank God I was a writer, because no one can tell you can't write. It's not contingent upon getting hired outside.
Right.
It's also an incredibly crazy making, you're in your head, you're with characters, it's insane. And I'm running a boot camp. He's an actor, I'm a writer. So we have 16 other real jobs or gig jobs.
Right.
And I have friends in my boot camp, and one of them, Jen Prince, is a profound, prolific, one of the most talented producers I've ever known. And we would sit and have coffee once every 2 weeks and just lament, we should do something together. We should. And cut to Colette comes into the boot camp, And I learned that she is a crazy prolific writer, like just writes, churning out stuff. And of course I vetted it and I read it and I was like, oh, she's good. And so at one point I was like, you know what? You can take boot camp for the rest of your life if you go through my scripts and, you know, see which one is good to go and help me punch them up to ready. And one of them was Quality Problems, a different form. And prior to that, my husband had read it, and he said, and I was trying to write a family like thing that we could do, and he says, yeah, it's okay. And I was like, awesome. And he goes, it needs more. And at some point after this whole breast cancer like thing, he said, you need to put that in. And God bless him, he was absolutely right. Colette got her hands on it and tweaked and tweaked and tweaked and poked and at some point we take these tremendous bike rides, like 40-mile bike rides.
Wow.
And it came out that we need to incorporate this old footage into this film.
Absolutely.
So it is incorporated there because in the film, my character has a recurrence. So she gets diagnosed with this again in the middle of life, in the middle of, you know, a parent with Alzheimer's and blah, 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 and kid's birthday party in LA, which is like next level stuff.
Crazy.
So it was because of Jen and because of Colette and because of, and then she brought in Jen Weberly and Doug and I are at the helm, and it was all just following the yeses, like, okay, and you know, rewrite the script. Okay, now what? Like it was very easy as long as I didn't shut down, as long as we weren't like, we can't do that, and as long as we were surrounded by amazing people. Like the only reason, like if I ever had any advice for any up and coming filmmaker, is surround yourself with geniuses.
Yeah.
Because we were like, we want to put on a show. We don't know so much. What we don't know is vast. And these people did.
And I'm going to reiterate that, it's about having a team. It wasn't just Brooke. You know, Brooke was a brainchild behind everything, but Brooke surrounded herself, and there were 5 of us. And we always talk about it, Brooke, Doug, Jen, Jennifer, and myself, is that we're like a theater troupe.
Right.
Repertoire.
A repertoire company, but we make films instead, and we make independent films. And it's about trust. We had been talking earlier about trusting people.
Yes.
And the 5 of us completely trust each other, and that's what makes for a great partnership.
Absolutely.
Because we have each other's backs.
The synergy is definitely there. Ironically, I spoke to you first, Colette, right? And when I was looking for amazing female filmmakers to be on this podcast, Colette and I started talking via, I think it was Facebook, right? Female Filmmakers, a different group, through Sophia Chiapos. And we started talking, and this is how great you guys' team is. At the same time, I get Jen Prince contacting me and saying, hey, you know, she was speaking very well of all of you and each other, and then she was like, oh, you're talking to Colette. Okay, bye. I was like, hey, okay, that's great, you know, but that's amazing that's how connected you guys are. You guys both, all of you, thought at the same time, like, hey, maybe we should go on the show, you know, and you contacted and we talked, and then Jen contacted me and talked, and that I don't see that happening. I've talked to other groups as well, other production, you know, female production duos or whatever, and it's usually the one that contacts me or whatnot, but this, you guys both came at me, and I thought that was great.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's, you know what it is? It's because Quality Problems, we're going to be doing this the rest of our lives. This is a grassroots marketing, and we have to do the work ourselves.
Yes.
You know, it's every time we meet a new person, it's, hey, have you seen Quality Problems? Hey, do you know anyone who has cancer? Most people know someone very close to them, if not in their family, who's had cancer. And because it's a comedy, it's an uplifting film that and it sounds arrogant to say this, but people need to see this film because it's empowering. And very few films have this much heart and empower you as much as Quality Problems does. So thank you guys for inviting us on your show so that we can talk about it and hopefully expose 1 to 1 billion people
Right.
to
Absolutely.
go to Amazon and rent Quality Problems.
Exactly. No, for sure. And you guys have it on IMDb, correct? You guys are on. Do you guys have it connected through the Amazon as well? Because I sometimes go through there and I click. Just one click, where if you have an IMDb, the app.
Yes, it's 1 click away from IMDb.
Perfect.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, my auntie is a breast cancer survivor, and and then my mother as well. She just recently is overcoming and is in recession. So,
Bless her.
yes, it was
Remission.
remission. What did I say?
Recession.
Oh,
We're thinking about
yeah.
the
We're all
economy.
in. We're all
Well,
in.
We're all in a recession,
Yeah.
but whew.
Yeah.
But yes, yeah. So definitely it's not too far away, and it's extremely relatable. So whether it's a direct family member or a friend of a friend, it's still something that, like a human being can relate to, whether it's a grandparent or a parent, a cousin, sister.
You don't necessarily have to love film to love this movie because it is that relatable. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, and it's not, and it's been touted as a comedy about cancer, which, yes, in part, it's just a comedy, and it's just life, and one of the characters happens to have cancer, but there's the family, there's a huge thing about the marriage, there's a sandwich generation, like with your parents and with your kids, and just navigating life. This is going to sound so arrogant, but it reminds me, screw it, it's a great film.
Yeah.
It reminds me though of The Big Sick as far as heart.
Yes.
Nice. And I went to film school, and I've been, exposed to all kinds of, the gamut of film styles and genres and stuff like that. And I love me some Reservoir Dogs, and I love me some, weird, just weird enough, but not too weird.
Right.
I won't mention anything. But mostly the films that I love are the ones with heart, like move me, just move me.
Because it's relatable somehow.
Yes,
And
I wanna laugh, I wanna cry, and it's all there. It's in Quality Problems because it's just about humans.
Right.
So-
And that's like The Big Sick, like you mentioned, is because it was based on something that was very real. And that is the same as Quality Problems. It's based on something that's really real. And people enjoyed The Big Sick. And that filmmaker didn't think, those two, the couple, they didn't think it was going to be as huge as it became because they thought, this is just us. We're just telling our story. And all of a sudden it just, you know. Of course they had Judd, who was backing that.
Sure.
You guys
Helps.
are on, exactly. But
We would like Judd as well.
Yeah, Judd Apatow, give us a ring. We've got your estrogen Big Sick.
There you go. So I just want to backtrack a little bit and kind of give the listeners a little background of how you fell into this industry, and then as well with you, Colette.
I actually started in still photography. I just was taking pictures, and I have no patience for the technicality of it. So I would shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot, and it was, it was a Canon, and it was, and I would play with the f-stops, but never remember anything. So I would just go through copious amounts of film and wrote from. I was not a great kid. Let's just surmise by saying I was asked to go to I went to 4 different high schools, and I was asked to remove myself from an entire district at one point. So
you're already famous since high school.
there was some infamous, maybe, but I made a lot of other parents grateful for their kids. So moving on, I always was saved. My life was saved throughout it all by my English teachers and writing. And they always, I would not go to an entire day of school, but I would show up for English class. So every teacher out there, you are saving lives. And these English teachers would save my life. And I was always stories and creative writing. So at some point, I got it together, and it was college application time, and I did some stuff. I got my general ed out of the way at LA City and then applied to NYU with my I applied with writing and got into their dramatic writing program, which is a lot of plays, and did a year there and was taught so much by gifted people, and then did an interdepartment transfer with the photography portfolio to get into film and directing, and it was on from there. It was an amazing way to live in New York. I met amazing people and was, carried through. Having said that, it's a different world. Like, I could sit in a room with a 4-plate Steenbeck and cut, physical 16 millimeter film, but I don't, it's all new. It's a new animal. And it's just morphed so much. But the thing that remains the same, for me anyway, is the stories. Absolutely. So you just adapt and you get a kick-ass team who knows, the technical.
Yeah, for sure. And Colette, how did you get into this?
I went to the same high school for 4 years.
Wait, which I was like, which high school?
She was a good child, not my high school or any of them.
I started as an actress, and I got so tired of playing girlfriend number 3 and prisoner number 8 and bimbo number 62 that I had...
Not bimbo number 62.
62. I couldn't even make 63.
Holy hell.
And I had one of those moments in my theater company, which was, I can do better. Mm-hmm. And I wrote a play, and it did very well. And then I wrote a second play, and a third play, and a fourth play, and realized kind of the universe was saying, your writing is where the path you need to go down. Mm-hmm. I'd also worked at Showtime for 10 years as a reader, so I had read tens of thousands, and I'm not exaggerating, scripts.
Mm-hmm. You passed mine how many times now? No,
62. And so I knew the craft, I knew the technique, and then I don't believe people should be pinpointed into one genre, as an actor, as a writer, whatever. So I started as a playwright. I write a bunch of novels. I write a bunch of screenplays. I've always loved collaborating, and it was by just this weird series of circumstances that I found the best writing partner in the world with Brooke, because she's so smart and so funny. And, there are a lot of smart people out there, but there are not a lot of funny, truly, deeply, madly funny people, and Brooke Purdy is. And that's why Quality Problems is such a good film and why there's so much heart, because the humor is so authentic. It's not people trying to be funny, it's people who are genuinely funny. In pretty horrible circumstances, they find love and light and joy, and it's a remarkable film because of the humor at the deep heart of it.
I like how you did that. We asked about you, and then you plugged the film again. What? That was great.
It's a gift.
That was
it's
amazing.
Called being a very good writer.
It was really good. And marketing. That was amazing. Well done.
Yeah. I will babble, and she's on the film, because she was in independent film, everybody does everything. Right. But Colette got the nickname the Sniper, because we're like, we need a 4K lens, blah, 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 and this. And Colette would just make it happen. We're like, we need more red vines, and Colette would make it happen. Whatever it was.
Okay, we do need some red vines, though. Seriously.
So whatever it was, she would make it happen. Same with directing me. We went on a full circuit for a year, and I'm like a big spazzy puppy. I'm like, oh my God, you made this movie, and I'll talk to that person for 2 hours. and literally Colette and Jen will just handle me and steer me, just point it that way, because she's the sniper yet again.
Well done.
Gotta have that balance. I love that. Because you have that creativity, and then you also have that. So for me, that's you and I are right on the same level. I'm just not a writer. I'm on the camera and lighting.
I don't know what that means for me, but okay.
You're the enthusiast, I guess.
Yeah. But I totally get it, because I'm listening and I'm here, we're talking, and I keep getting a memory back in my mind, and it's of my grandmother, because we went through so much with my grandmother before she passed away. She had dementia, and she told me when she was more clear-headed, she said, one of the last things I really want to do before I go is I want to become a U.S. citizen. And so I helped her with her paperwork and everything, and I made it happen. She became a citizen. And poor thing, at that point, the dementia was really there, like full on. Right. So we had to remind her, like, we had the doctor write a note, but the doctor didn't write the note correctly. So she had to do the test, right? So I'm sitting there going like, oh my God, because she's failed the test before when she was fully there.
Right.
And now she's not. And I'm thinking, this is not going to work. This is like totally comedy. So I'm sitting there with my aunt and my grandmother. And we tell the lady, like, please, like, she's got dementia. She's like, the doctor didn't write the note right. So she's going to have to take this test. And I was like, and she asked her a question. And the lady at this point felt bad. So she was like, okay, who was the first president of the United States? And my grandmother like looks at us all nervous. And I was like, oh my God, like palms sweating and everything. I was like, oh my God. And my grandmother, Washington. And then I looked at her and we like, yeah, like celebrating. And my grandmother got all excited. She starts clapping her hands like a child, like, yay, because we're all celebrating. And the lady gets excited too. Like at this point, we're all rooting for my grandmother. And then she's like, okay, what's the capital of, what was it, the capital of the United States or whatever? My grandmother's like, Washington. So she looks at us and we're like, yes, we're like celebrating. And my grandma's like doing this. And then I forget what the third question was. I think it was like,
I thought it was
the capital of California. That's what it was.
Okay.
And she says, Washington. And I realized, oh my God, she's just saying the same thing over and over. And the lady is like, oh man, this is not good. And I was like, oh no. And so the lady's like, okay, well, she's got 2 right. She just needs 1 more. So when's the Independence Day? And my aunt is looks like gang signs because she's trying to get So my grandmother looks at her and she's like, 4. She was like, that's good, you did, you passed, whatever. But it was one of those things, like it was a weird moment. But when she passed away, that was the memory that came to me. Because I was just like, oh my God, I was there.
Right.
And it was the most funniest, saddest moment ever. And I'm glad I was able to experience that with her. So hearing you share this, and that's what Quality Problems is, it's pretty much like, it's a real life experience. And you're sharing it with everyone, and I'm pretty sure it was funny because you had funny moments, because what do? You got to laugh at, life sucks sometimes, but you got to laugh. And that's what that is. And that's what it reminded me of my grandmother, is like life was sucking, but it was the most hilarious moment ever. Because I'm like sitting there and she's like, Washington. And I was like, yes. And it's like, I don't even know where she came up with Washington, to be honest. I'm glad she did, 2 out of 3, not bad.
You guys have to make that movie.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's
we
what
were just talking about using what you have, like make, even if it's a short
film.
That's, it's riveting.
Right.
That story.
No, it was.
All right, so quick. This did not make the movie, but my husband and I, gallows humor, like everywhere we go, like we'll find some twisted avenue. So I get diagnosed with breast cancer, and you go and you meet with a plastic surgeon because how they're going to do the reconstruction and stuff like that, because insurance is obligated to pay to have you even. And I was like, boss. I was like, great, I get a dually. And so you go into this plastic surgeon, and this guy had like gotten to know us, and that we were like spastic, and so you go in this room, and he takes pictures. He's going to take pictures, and I am topless. He takes pictures to see the before and after, so he can like gauge everything. So my husband comes in there with us, and I take my top off, not modest, like whatever. Take my top off, and our guy, the plastic surgeon, starts to take pictures, and my husband takes crumpled up $1 bills, and he's all, shake it. He's all, that's right. He's all, come on. And like literally, my doctor couldn't take pictures. He's like, you have to stop, because he's laughing. So my husband got kicked out of the room because he was.
That is so fantastic. So like, it sounds like with my mom, the doctors were like, wow, like your attitude towards this is like immense. So that sounds exactly the same, which I love, because that energy right there is what it ends all. It ends all to like how this problem is not a problem anymore. It's just a stepping stone in your life that you've experienced, you've accomplished, and now it's gone. My mom straight up told the doctor, I don't have time for breast cancer. I just don't have any time for it.
Exactly.
So the doctor's like, great. Wow. Nobody says that. And I was like,
yeah.
I was like, that's my mom.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So-
And yeah, it was it was some of, and weirdly, like when I was post surgery and stuff, like someone had done a meal train, and
Nice.
so we had for like 2 to 3 weeks, we had different people coming in with dinners almost every night of the week, and it was the greatest. Like we had like it was hilarious people coming over and would just get visits. Sometimes I'm passed out, and sometimes I'm completely there, but it was like some of the greatest memories ever. It was a really weird, beautiful time, because it was just like, we're going to stop all the noise, like jobs and kids and all this stuff, and just focus on like village. And it was exceptional. It was amazing.
That's great.
Yeah. I think so. Okay, so interesting story, just because this whole breast cancer thing is, for me, is still fresh. So my auntie and her sister, the one that also survived, she lives in Georgia, and I was like, Auntie Daisy, do you want to come and like surprise my mom for her surgery? And she's like, yes. And I was like, great, it'll be a surprise. I let my mom also is the oldest out of 5, and so her sister lives in Georgia, and then she's got the 2 younger brothers that are twins that share her birthday. One lives in California, the other one's in Hawaii. And so I was like, okay, so if anyone else wants to come, great, just let me know who's going to be there. And so I let all her siblings know. The wife of my Uncle Jerry spoils the surprise the day before she arrives. And I was like, no,
We're so close.
so close. And I was like, oh, well, it's fine. So then my aunt was just like, oh, I'm sorry. And I was like, it's okay. She's like, can I go in to see my sister right before? And I was like, yes. She's like, I'll be back. So you have time to say, hey, mama, like, love you, bye-bye, into the surgery. And then, before she gets stabbed with like the little radiation needle. So then at that point, no one can like give her a hug. So my aunt's in there. Unbeknownst to me, she's there and with her mom as well, and
She's pointing at me, guys. I'm just
Alexa.
on the radio.
Alexa, I forget, we're not being seen, we're being heard. So I'm waiting there, and I'm just like, she's been in there like 20 minutes. So I was like, stop hugging my mom. I want to hug my mother week before her surgery. So unbeknown to me, I didn't know. My aunt was put not with my mother waiting. She was in another waiting room and didn't even get to see my mom until like 30 seconds before. And then so my aunt gave her a really quick hug, said, like, we're here for you. And then they poked her with like the radiation needle. So then nobody could hug her after that. So my aunt came out and she's like, I'm so sorry. She's like, I was in this other room. I didn't even see her. I didn't want you to think that I was hogging her. And I'm like, it's okay. And
She said it was okay, but she was like gritting her teeth because she was really upset.
She's my mom. I get she's your sister, but she's my mom.
Right.
And so I was just like, no, don't have anxiety. Don't have like any of this like negative right now. Like, oh, I don't get to hug my mom. I was walking by this like gift shop, and I see like a panda, and I'm like, And I'm like, okay, we're going to call it Radiation Panda. And I'm like, Mom, you need to take this with you, and you can hug it since I can't hug you right now. And so that became her like piece of me. And like my initials are RP, so Radiation Panda is me. And my mom didn't put it together.
Put that together either until now.
That's my little sneaky way of putting myself with my mom the whole time.
You guys are coming up with a bunch of short films.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, on my Instagram, I did like a whole panda series. It's called Radiation Panda. It's adorable because my mom is just this beautiful woman.
And since she's a director of photography and a photographer, the
Oh,
pictures
probably
on them just amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all shot with my iPhone, but yeah, but it was just more of like that relatable story of just
And what's
having
your
that.
Instagram handle?
Is Robin Pavello.
Yeah, it's flying. You need to get all kinds of new. Well, you got us. Like,
Wow.
that's a given.
But yeah, I love that that's what you're inspiring. I mean,
I think part of me, for the patient, you have a set of things to do. Like, you have this, you go to this appointment, and you do this, and you're blah, 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 and you do your diet. No. I think for the families, that it's a whole different story. Like, you don't know how to act, and what do I say, and what do I, and how do I navigate? And and it flew into my husband's lap, and God bless him, he was himself, but I feel like there's a whole other market for, like, the families and the friends of people going through, like, a
Difficult time.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad was in a coma for like several months. He had pancreatic cancer, so pancreatitis, and it was really bad. And so we were told like 50-50, So my mom kept saying, like, I just want to hear him snore again, because he was completely out, you know. And she always would complain about the snoring. And my dad, you go to the house, you could hear the snoring, like, anywhere. You can hear it coming to the house, like, oh, my dad's sleeping. Like, you're a mile away, and they're like, I can hear him. That's my dad, you know. And on a plane flight, I used to get embarrassed when I would fly with my parents, because I was just like, oh, my God. You hear the whole plane. Like, that's not turbulence, people. That's my dad. Yeah. That's how that was. And so my dad thankfully came through, and many years later, they're still here with me. My mom sometimes like, oh, your dad, and I'm like, She's like, never mind, you're right.
We like the
like,
snore. Snore is good.
Snore is good, and sometimes if I'm at my parents' house and they're sleeping, I'm that person neurotically. I have my phone and the flash, and I'm looking. I'm like, wait, are they? Yep, okay, we're good. I do like, yeah, because it's too quiet. I'm like, what is going on? Because because my mom has a sleep apnea, so she's got the mask, and I'm like, is she moved? Yep, she's moved. Dad, you're not snoring, Dad. Okay, there it is. Good, we're good. And the dog's looking at me because I have their dog there. He's looking at me like, what are you doing? I'm like, you're good too. I'm good. Bye.
Check.
Just checking, doing my checking. It's weird because we become the parents at that point. What are you guys planning? Because you said this is a grassroots. What are you guys planning to do from here?
For those of you that didn't see, because you can't, we're on the radio, Brooke was like, two-fisted hands, victory sign.
It's very exciting. Go.
Yes, please, Colette.
Wait, are we still talking about quality problems?
No.
Okay. So we're on our last day of crowdfunding for Miles Underwater, which we're also crowdfunding on Seed and Spark. So if you happen to be a rich Uncle Joe or a rich dentist and have some disposable income.
It's always a dentist.
She's obsessed with rich
Okay,
dentists.
it's so true.
I'm
true,
obsessed
though.
with
Oh
rich
my God.
dentists.
It's
So
true. It's true.
Please go to seedandspark.com and type in Miles Underwater. It's like Brooke said earlier, we had no idea if her kids could act, and her kids can act.
Yes.
So
Slated.
they're magnificent, and they're 10 and 13, and we wrote this
14.
14, right, just 14. This beautiful coming-of-age story, which we are leaving this Thursday to go shoot in San Antonio.
Amazing.
Nice.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Very
And
nice.
it's the same team. Jennifer Weberly is producing. Jennifer Prince is now directing. It's the same group of people, and her kids are starring in it, and she and her husband Doug are starring in it. And it's, again, we're going for no money. I love big movies, and so the first second of a Marvel movie is bigger than our entire budget.
Of course.
But we're going to make it work because of the heart and because of our amazing team. But yeah, look for after you go to Amazon and iTunes and watch Quality Problems and tell 10 of your friends, start following Miles Underwater Film on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and follow our journey. We're going to be taking copious amounts of pictures.
Amazing.
And just kind of letting you follow
Running
our
diaries.
journey.
My
Yeah.
whole family, like everybody, my daughter, my son, my husband, and I are all doing like independent video diaries, and it'll be interesting to see Doug's perception of an event versus my perception of an event.
That's fantastic, though, because you have that, that synergy on there, and it's like you're all in the same boat, but what's your perspective?
Totally.
Who wrote this?
We did.
We
You
did.
both did.
Me and Colette wrote it together. Very proud of it. Completely different than Quality Problems in both tone and Doug and I, like, as super vain actors. It's not my main forte. I'm just super controlling, so I end up being like, I'll just do it. So Doug and I would get on the festival circuit. People would be like, oh, this is amazing, but this is just you guys being your family. We're like, no, every word is scripted, and we're acting, and the kids are acting. So we wanted to do something completely different. So our characters are vastly different. The kids have this, they're carrying a movie, like it's bananas. And the tone of it is different, except that it begins and ends with heart,
And hope, too. Our hashtag is choose hope. And both Quality Problems and Miles Underwater are really important. I mean, we live right now in a very complicated political climate.
Well stated.
Thank you. It's hard. It's really hard sometimes to wake up and, be accosted by this information, which makes you so sad and scared. And our films kind of offer hope and light and heart. And sometimes the best part of a film is just the escapism, that 2 hours just to kind of forget everything and just
watch a great story.
Yeah. Right, and be a part of it because you can relate to it. Do you have a log line for
Miles Underwater?
Yes.
We just put her on the spot, Robin.
I mean, what's on the poster is as if being 13 wasn't weird enough.
I love that.
I like that. Who came up with that?
It's Brooke did.
Nice.
It's one extraordinary day for a boy who has to face his past in order to survive his future.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds really good.
It is. Dang it. It's really good.
Yeah.
We're super excited, but again, it's independent film, and I mean, one of the huge things that I hear is like, okay, the major challenge for all these filmmakers is making the second film. And so the fact that we're just launching into the second one with the same team, like,
That's great.
There are all these question marks, and nobody's, giving us Marvel money, but we are diving in like completely assured because it's the team.
Right.
It's the same team. I would follow these people anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, listening to both of you and meeting you in person and just hearing what content that you're bringing to the table, and then like talking about the other people that are on your team. If you need anything, I am so there for you. I want. Do you know what I'm saying? Because if I was sitting at home listening to this, I'd be like, man, I want to work with these ladies, whatever it is. If they need like
awesome and hilarious,
and that's all what we want to do is just bring and fuse women and filmmakers together. And it doesn't even have to be just females, just filmmakers in general, just to lift each other up.
Yes.
Completely.
I mean, that if you're listening at home, you definitely need to follow, like, subscribe, everything to both of these ladies, personal and both their films that they're going to be doing, and donate, because this is amazing. Like, just listening to like the stories and just hearing and be able to like relate so well to something in life that is treacherous, or I mean, we were all 13,
right?
God. It's amazing.
I slept right through it.
I felt like I was 13 for 7 years. And that's the other thing about crowdfunding is you are every day. I am humbled and grateful by our village, like my friends and those people that came out knowing nothing and were like, "Yep, I believe in your belief, and here you go." And it's tight. Like, all of these people who don't have the money to give.
Right.
Like, have been beautiful. It is reassuring and so heartening that it makes you just forge forward. Like, that was my favorite screening, was when we got to bring it back to LA, and all these people that had contributed. We got to be like, you made this movie. Like, you helped make this movie. And
it's incredible. It's an incredible, like bring it all full circle. So just for the listeners outside, if they are new to filmmaking, because, you kind of touched on it, and now that you're talking about crowdfunding, can we just kind of touch on that? So if they're looking for advice and how to do those steps, what were your personal ways?
Oh God, I don't want to mess up her name. First of all, we did our homework. Okay, so number one, do your homework. So many people, we see 1,000 campaigns on, on other platforms, GoFundMe, and that are just like, we're going to raise money for a film. And if you just put up a mock-up and a log line, that it's going to come. And they fail and they fail and they fail. Especially now, it's becoming real saturated. So do your homework. And research your platform. We're huge fans of Seed and Spark because it's just film. It's just film, and they're and you support other people's films, and you follow other films, and they have a streaming service there, and they're very, very hands-on. But we also met with
Kathleen Minogue.
Kathleen Minogue at Prime Impulse?
Yeah,
or Crowdfund Better. Crowdfundbetter.com. She was she was a tutor. Like, she came out and there was like 5 of us in a room with notepads, and she sat there and she said, here's what you do. And there's a science to it. Like, you launch on a Tuesday and not on a Wednesday, and you blah, 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 and you do a second push, and you do this. Like, she had a science. So we're good at homework. Like, in spite of my 4 high school nightmares, we're good at homework. And we had a lot of people that were just plugging on social media, and every day, a new update or a new post or.
And it wasn't just us. So that's part of it. Is that. First of all, there were 5 of us. So usually when people go in to make a film, there's one person, and he or she needs to start making friends and bringing people on the team. There were 5 people at the core. We were all, it was all egalitarian. We all felt just as strongly about this project. So then our tentacles went out, and then told 2 friends, who told 5 friends, who told 20 friends, who told 50 friends. So we had so much support because we started with 5 instead of 1.
Yeah.
And that made a difference.
That makes a huge
So
difference.
make some friends and make sure that they have the same passion and drive of this content
that's huge
to then
too.
help promote. Because that is the biggest thing, and that's the reason why I want listeners to hear from people that have had success, because there's been so many failures, and you're going to hear 1,000 no's to get those 100 yeses.
Right.
And you have to believe so much in your project. I'm an introvert. I'm horribly awkward at asking for things for me, but when I believe in something wholeheartedly, I have no problem. I can ask you, hey, do you guys have $5 for our project? Do you have $500,000? If you believe in something, and that's, I hope the listeners know this, if you truly, truly believe, build it and they will come.
Right.
True. You have to have that confidence. You have to believe that much.
What was the name of the site again?
Seed and Spark. It's Seed & Spark.
Okay.
And Emily Best, she goes all over the country. She is what I call a true believer. Like, she is about the future of crowdfunding and where crowdfunding is going, and she lectures. You can look up her stuff. I stalked her for a lot of time before I ever met her. So, and hopefully now she knows
that's your research.
I'm not creepy. Yeah, and then also I would add, don't be a dick. Like, follow other people's. Huge. Like, we are on a tight budget, especially with this. But in our family budget, there is something set aside that is just donations. Like, I will support friends' projects, and I will talk about them, and I want to give you guys names of people we've met. We've met the most extraordinary filmmakers on this.
Yeah, we can fill this podcast for the next year.
Yeah, there's just such incredible, like, undiscovered talent out there that I wish I had a studio deal to just bring along.
Yeah,
but
no,
if just don't be a dick.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I think too, like, with that being said, to have that, like, that little cushion of $5 for $10, $20, whatever it is.
It matters.
It makes a huge difference.
Starbucks, or donate to a friend or something that you like. If you're willing to give to other people, they're going to give it back to you.
Absolutely.
Whether it's, $1, $5, 10, 15, whatever it is, that's the world to a filmmaker, because we're all passionate. We all need that support, and that's the one thing. Absolutely, I agree, hands down with you, because a lot of people forget about that part. Like, if you don't have the money at that moment, promote the crap out of it.
Absolutely,
right.
It's
now,
huge.
The reason why I ask is because I know that there's other crowdfunding websites, and I know some of them are, if you don't reach your goal, you don't get any of it, and everyone that donated gets it back. Is Seed and Spark Spark the same way, or do you get whatever you raise?
Seed and Spark, you have to raise 80%
Okay.
to get your
80%,
money. But what's great about Seed and Spark is, let's say you're struggling, people can offer in-kind donations. So if someone they don't have $2,000, but they have a small camera and they can give it to you, that counts as $2,000.
Oh, that's
You
great.
can put that in to get your stuff greenlit, you know.
Okay.
And the greatest thing about them is they're artists and filmmakers in charge of it who have started this, and they are always like, I don't know about the other sites and your access to advice and,
Right.
and tutelage. So, you know, at Seed and Spark, we never encountered that. They were always like, you know, there for us, like if we had questions or with advice. So, we're huge fans. We're
That's
huge
great.
fans. Yeah.
That's great, and that's good advice. Where could, because we're almost at that time, not really getting close. Where could people find you individually, and then the projects? Because Quality Problems, I know it has its own site and its own Instagram and everything. What about Miles Underwater? So
You can find everything for Quality Problems and Miles Underwater at metamorphic.com, metamorfic.com.
Okay.
That's our production company run by Jennifer Weberly, which kind of is the boss of
The
all of
hub
our films.
of everything, yeah.
okay,
And all of our films are on it. But we're also on Twitter. We're Miles Underwater Film. We're Quality Problems Film. On Facebook, same thing. And Insta, same thing.
great.
And then individually, we're our names, Brooke Purdy, and spelled the way it sounds, and Colette Freedman with 2 E's.
That's great. This is amazing, and because I know we got to wrap it up soon. I want to thank you guys.
I don't want to.
I don't want to either. I want to thank you both for being here. I want to tell everyone, watch Quality Problems. Tell others to watch it as well.
I'm
highly
so
recommend.
happy to say that I promise it doesn't suck. Like, if you're not moved in some way, happy or sad by this film, then you're dead inside.
Right now.
So, there you go.
Go to Seed and
Brooke
Spark.
Purdy.
Go to Seed and Spark. Find Miles Underwater
In the next 6 hours.
in the next 6 hours.
We end
Okay,
at
it'll
7
be up.
o'clock tonight.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
like,
it'll be up
Okay,
soon.
I'm donating.
And
You will see
donate.
my name there, so make sure.
Yeah,
Sweet,
so
thank you.
Miles Underwater, it'll be coming soon, and I hope you guys can come back to promote that as well.
Oh, please.
yes,
Absolutely.
and say a little something for us, whatever your chosen prayer is. We're about to go for 3 weeks and film in the San Antonio summer. So,
Oh, yeah.
yep,
Boss ladies.
yes,
Right here.
that is us going all out.
Tons of water
Yeah.
for everyone there.
Yeah.
Stay
Yeah.
hydrated. All right, thank you again.
Thank
Quality
you, guys.
Problems.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
You're listening to Female Filmmakers Fuse with Alexa Polar, only on LA Talk Radio.